So as we talked about before, any type of plugin needs to be installed, and once it's installed, it needs to be activated. So in this particular case, we're going to go ahead and install Visual Composer. Going to take a second here, and we'll go and activate that plugin. Now, depending on the size of the plugin, it could take a second or two to install or activate a plugin. So I'm going to go back a few bits here, and I'm going to refresh the screen. Therefore, you can see if I go to Visual Composer that it has been installed. I can choose to deactivate it at this point. Now, another big plus that ships with it, again, this is a plugin that would cost you, 15, 20 bucks, is Visual Composer add-on. So I want to share that with you as well, and we'll do a whole bunch of videos on this. I'm going to install that as well. Now this takes a little bit longer to install, so I'm going to activate and I will come right back. Now, this plugin is part of Brainstorm Force, which is a wonderful, wonderful company. They have all kinds of cool things happening. I definitely would support Brainstorm anytime you get a chance to. This is the Ultimate Add-on 3.10, which is the most current version as of April 2015. Now, when I did that, when I installed the Visual Composer, notice I have a new menu choice here on the left that wasn't available to me before, and I also have a Brainstorm tab as well. Then I have my different dashboards, Icon Manager, Google Fonts, and About Ultimate Plugin. Now don't confuse the Ultimate Plugin with Ultimatum. Those are two separate companies. This is the Ultimatum plugin for Visual Composer that ships with the Ultimatum theme. Alright, so let's get started here. Let's make a brand new page from scratch. I'm going to make a brand new page. And I'll just call this Web Design Page 1. Okay, not to be confused with Web Design Page 2. And I'm going to publish that. Now, because I have, very important step here, because I have the Visual Composer plugin installed and activated, you will see I have a new series of information here. Now, I'm going to cover this in great detail. We're going to spend many, many videos getting you up and running on Visual Composer because it can be very overwhelming. I'm going to make it so simple, it's child's play. Again, if I go to my text tab, you can still do this inside of your text tab as well. You're still going to see these icons here. I'm going to go back to Visual, but you're not going to see the shortcodes for Ultimatum as we talked about before. Now, before we go any further and to kind of demystify and make this really, really simple, the backend editor is what you can do to change Visual Composer in your admin section. The front-end editor enables you to change elements on your page as you see it. Okay, we'll talk about both in just a second in more detail. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my backend editor, and I'll be presented with this page, this interface here. And I have a front end that I can go and adjust the front end of my website. So Visual Composer enables you to adjust things in both ends. Now again, I'm going to make this really simple, and it can be very, very overwhelming. This icon is going to take you to the Visual Composer website, okay, which is a great, 500,000 people are doing this. So it's really a great little add-on for the Ultimatum theme. This icon right here is going to enable you to put in new elements. So as an example, here are an example of elements. Tons and tons of elements that we're going to go through most of the common ones in great detail. Now, of course, if I was to go through every little element, every little nuance, then you'd be here for the next until Christmas time or the holiday time or Ramadan or whatever you celebrate, Hanukkah, etc., etc. We're not going to do that. So I just want you to understand how it works and how it thinks, taking one step at a time. Now, rather than be overwhelmed with all of these choices, if I click here, that's going to give me my content elements. If I click here, this will give me my social media elements. This gives me my structure. This gives me my WordPress widgets, which is standard for WordPress search categories, everything else. And this is what I get for the Ultimate Visual Composer add-ons. That is one of the other plugins we installed just a few seconds ago. So if I click here, you'll see all the other things that come with Visual Composer add-on. And I'm going to close this window. Now, here's a very important part. Okay, if I go out to my plugins and go to my installed plugins, you will see that I have my Ultimate add-on Visual Composer. Now, they do have some video tutorials, but with all due respect, not all video training is the same. They don't involve you in the thinking process. I mean, again, I say this with great respect and umbrage, and the thing I do respect about Brainstorm Force is at least they're attempting, at least they're trying to do something. Most software developers out there, they're doing plugins and themes, their support sucks, and they certainly don't have any kind of video support. So I definitely give them 2 thumbs up for doing some kind of video tutorials, which you can click right here and watch. So I'm going to go under settings for a second. Okay, now here's the fun part. Not everything is turned on. As an example, one of my favorite ones to use, and this does take up a little bit more memory, which we'll go into later on, is fancy text. So right now I just want to share with you that if you see something that doesn't work as in a different demonstration or different video, always check your preferences or your settings, because maybe something has not been turned on or activated. So I just want to share that comment with you. Later on, we're going to do a complete video series in fancy text, which is one of my favorite add-ons inside the Visual Composer add-on by Brainstorm Force. If I go into scripts, this is all turned on in advanced settings. Row backgrounds turned on. I'm going to keep everything by default, but I just want to share with you where that was. Okay? Now, if you go here, of course, that's going to tell you more about the plugin, etc., etc., etc. So let's go back. Let's hit the back button a few gazillion times. I told you 1,000 times not to exaggerate. Actually, we can't do that because I stopped at that. I went from here and this opened up a new window. So let's hit the back button here a gazillion times and go back to our page. All right, so we have a brand new page called Web Design Page 1. Now, I'm going to teach you some really cool techniques, and I'm also going to teach you modern techniques, how to do parallax sites, how to do one-page sites, which is all the rage right now. Everybody wants to have everything on one page, it loads fast, and takes it one step at a time. So in our next video, I will share with you how to do some really cool things using Video Composer. So stay tuned.